You've heard many suspense stories, but this story is a roller coaster of suspense, deceit, and murder. Moreover, it's not fiction. It's absolutely real. Just when you thought you knew how it all ends, a new twist emerges that keeps you on the edge of your seat. And when HBO covered the story and released a documentary, things became more exciting. Want to have a look at this thriller? Then stay tuned till the very end. The saga begins with Robert Durst, a rich Manhattan real estate heir, and his teenage sweetheart, Kathy McCormack. Their love story takes a dramatic turn when Durst forces Kathy to leave her life behind and move to Vermont to work in his health food store. But it doesn't end there, folks. The young couple's fairy tale quickly became a nightmare when Durst's controlling and abusive behavior is exposed. Kathy's friends and family are horrified to hear about the abuse she's been suffering at the hands of her husband. She's trapped in a loveless marriage with no way out because of an unfair prenup. And if that wasn't bad enough, Durst starts cheating on her with Prudence Farrow. Things go from bad to worse when Kathy attends a party and receives an angry phone call from Durst. She leaves the party early and tells her friend Gilbert Najami, "If something happens to me, check it out. I'm afraid of what Bobby will do." These are the last words Kathy speaks to anyone besides her husband. Durst reports his wife missing, but his story is full of holes. He claims that he dropped Kathy off at a train station, but there's no record of her ever boarding a train. The doorman at her apartment building saw her enter, but no one saw her leave. The only evidence Durst has to back up his story is a phone call from someone claiming to be Kathy, but it's unclear if it really was her. Kathy's friends couldn't let her mysterious disappearance go unsolved, so they decided to take matters into their own hands and investigate Robert Durst's Westchester home. And boy, they found something shocking. As they rummaged through the trash, they stumbled upon Kathy's unopened mail. What the heck? Why would her mail be in the garbage? Something wasn't right. They immediately went to the police with their findings, but even the authorities had their suspicions. Durst's alibis were fishy, to say the least. The doorman barely saw Kathy, and there was no payphone near his house. What was he trying to hide? But unfortunately, with no concrete evidence of a crime, Kathy's disappearance was officially declared a missing persons case. It must have been frustrating for her friends and family. As for Durst, he withdrew from the press and retreated into his own grief. But eventually, he returned to work and even started dating an ambitious real estate broker. And get this, he secretly divorced his missing wife, claiming she abandoned him. How convenient. He then moved into an Upper East Side apartment with his new partner, but left after just 9 months. Apparently, the neighborhood was too stuffy for his liking. Classic Durst. But things continued to spiral downward for him. He was passed over for the head of his family's company and even started peeing in his uncle's trash can. What a weirdo. No wonder he was passed over. He broke from his family and spent the next decade traveling the country like a vagabond. But even with all his wandering, he couldn't escape the renewed investigation into Kathy's disappearance. Susan Berman, a friend and writer, even reached out to him for money. And guess what? He sent her 2 checks, each worth $25,000. That's a lot of money. What could he possibly have been trying to cover up? As the investigation continued, Durst remarried in a secret 15-minute ceremony. Geez, this guy really knows how to put on a show. And just when you thought things couldn't get any crazier, Durst hopped on a plane to San Francisco, then disappeared yet again. What is he trying to hide? But wait, he flew back to New York? What could this all mean? Hold on to your hats because this story is a real nail-biter. It all started when Berman was found dead in her home in Los Angeles with a gunshot wound to her head. What's really freaky is that there were no signs of forced entry, and all her valuables were still in place. The only clue the police had to go on was an anonymous letter addressed to Beverly Hills Police. The letter informed them that there was a cadaver in Berman's house. Berman's friends were convinced that she was murdered to prevent her from spilling the beans to the police about Durst's disappearance. But their circle claimed that her mob-like code of loyalty would have prevented her from even considering testifying against him. The LAPD had set their sights on Durst as a possible subject, but they decided to focus on her manager, Niall Brenner. Things were getting pretty intense at this point. Durst, feeling the heat from the police, decided to make a run for it and headed to Galveston, Texas. He thought he could hide in plain sight by posing as a mute woman named Dorothy Siner. Can you believe it? He even took the name from a former high school classmate. He was living in a Spartan boarding house, and his neighbor was an elderly man named Morris Black. But things went from bad to worse when a family fishing in Galveston discovered a dismembered torso floating off the beach. The police started investigating, and things were getting seriously creepy. The police found more severed body parts in the bay, and the packaging for a bow saw, and a newspaper with the address of the boarding house. When they searched the trash at the boarding house, they found a receipt with Durst's name on it. It was like something out of a horror movie. Things were heating up and the police were closing in on Durst. They found blood in Black's room and a trail of blood leading to the apartment of Senner. A search for the apartment yielded a bloody knife and a pair of bloody men's boots. When they realized that the torso was Black's and that Senner was Durst, they put out a warrant for his arrest. It was getting more and more intense with each passing moment. The police finally caught up with Durst, who had been staying at a hotel under the name of Jim Truss, another high school classmate. They found a bow that was used to dismember Black, as well as a gun in his car. With Chariton's help, he posted a $300,000 bail and then disappeared. But they finally caught him in Pennsylvania trying to shoplift a sandwich. He had more than $500 in cash on him, and his car was found to contain 2 guns, Morris Black's driver's license, and $37,000. He claims self-defense in the death of Morris Black, but then admits to dismembering the guy. What in the world was going on through the man's head? But here's where it gets even crazier. Durst is found not guilty of murder. Can you believe that? It's like something out of a movie. However, justice isn't completely out of reach because Durst does get sentenced to 5 years in prison for tampering with evidence and jumping bail. But of course, as soon as he's paroled, he goes and violates his parole by returning to the scene of the crime. Come on, man, what were you thinking? To make matters even more outrageous, Durst receives a whopping $65 million settlement from his family. Are you kidding me? This guy just got away with murder and now he's rich beyond belief. It's enough to make you want to scream. But then, things start to take a turn. The release of a docudrama based on Durst's life, All Good Things, prompts him to contact the filmmaker and offers a sit-down interview. And during that interview, Durst denies any involvement in the deaths of 2 other women. But wait, there's more. Filmmakers later uncover an audio recording of Durst muttering to himself in the bathroom, confessing to killing them all. Are you freaking kidding me? This guy finally gets caught, and it's all thanks to some hot mic action in the bathroom. And finally, the icing on the cake. The LAPD reopens its investigation into Susan Berman's murder. It's about damn time. Soon after, the LAPD concluded that Durst was the author of a disturbing letter that seemed to implicate him in a murder. And then, the HBO documentary series, The Jinx, aired, and everything changed. Durst, who had been evading authorities for years, was suddenly on the run again. But this time, the stakes were higher than ever. He was wanted for the murder of his friend, Susan Berman, and there was evidence mounting against him. The FBI finally caught up with Durst in New Orleans, where he had been planning an escape to Cuba. They found him with a gun, $40,000, and a latex mask. It was a shocking turn of events that seemed ripped straight out of a Hollywood thriller. The trial that followed was equally gripping. Durst, who had previously been acquitted of murder, was now facing the possibility of the death penalty. And as the evidence mounted against him, it seemed like his luck might have finally run out. But even as the trial continued, new allegations emerged. There was a report linking Durst to the disappearance of 2 teenage girls in Northern California. And then, there was a charge of murdering his own wife, Kathy. Through it all, Durst maintained his innocence, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. And in the end, he was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And then, just when it seemed like the story couldn't get any more bizarre, Durst contracted COVID-19 and was placed on a ventilator. But even that wasn't the end of it. State police in New York charged Durst with the murder of his wife, and he went into cardiac arrest and died. What a thriller, really. And that concludes our video. What are your thoughts on it? Please share with us in the comments below. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one. Until then, peace.